We scored a goal. We won a game. How amazing is that? So before, when we did the live match preview, I remember saying like, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be difficult. But that's what the team has put me through. So I feel very happy that we were able to easily dispatch this team, put them in the dirt, and move forward. There were definitely some performances that I think are not necessarily about what they did against West Brom, but not in terms of like results wise, but like to show us that there's something there moving forward with our season. And we'll talk about those. And also, just it just feels good to feel good, to be honest. Like I can't even lie. Like I've been told that I've changed. I'm down in the dumps. I'm not happy Jessica anymore. And yeah, the transfer window / the beginning of the season, the way it started will definitely do that for you. But I'd much rather be, you know, on this end after the game than, feeling like vindicated or whatever. Like, I don't like that feeling. I don't like, feeling like, okay, well, I thought it was going to go negative and it did. I'd prefer it to be this way. I'm happy to be in the mud, in this instance, Aubameyang slapped me right across the face, hat trick, said, Jessica, shut up. I'm not finished. I'm here. My movement is good. You said I was dead. You wanted to sell me. Good. That's what I want to see. In the end of the day, you guys, like, I will always stand by my opinions. And sometimes I am reactionary, just like other fans. Like, I'm not special. Like, I'm a fan. I react, So for me, I was down on Aubameyang. I still want to hold back just a little bit of the, he's back just a little bit because I want to see against other competition. But what I will say is that felt different than preseason. Even though we saw that he was sharp during preseason, this felt different. It felt like a message, which was really, really nice to see. Bukayo Saka as well, star boy, always kind of the beacon of light in our team, and Odegaard and Ramsdale. So we'll talk about all of that. We're going to do our winners, our losers, man of the match. Get some of your comments out there. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with a friend, get in the chat box. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my panel for today. I have Harry here, George, and Souls. How are you guys? You can't even see Harry because of the logo. Look at that.
That's fine. It's fine. That's fine.
It's fine. We know where we are. We know where we are. So, yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm not a vindictive fan. Like, I'm happy to be in the mud when things go differently than what I thought. So for me, 6-0 against a team that I felt like we might struggle against because I was down in the dumps, perfectly fine. And so you guys, how this is going to work, we've never done this structure before, but you guys in the chat box, let us know who your winner is, who your loser is, and who your man of the match is. And I'm going to start with Harry first. We'll start with losers. We'll start with the negative and then roll into the positive. Harry, who's your loser for today?
I mean, I feel like loser is a harsh word. I'm going to say I feel like Pepe could have been more productive and more efficient in the final third. He still had a good game by numbers in terms of grabbing a goal and an assist. But I just feel like in key moments, he needs to be really efficient. And it's great that he's getting in those positions. That's a really good sign. It's great that he's making the runs, that his movement is great. But when those chances come in the bigger games, we need to make sure he is more productive. So my loser is Pepe. Just.
George, who's your loser for today? And loser doesn't mean like, you're a loser. It's just the way that we organize it.
No, I think I have to probably say Nicolas Pepe. I think the reason that I'm going with this is, look, I think people think I might have an agenda against him, but when you have a team like this, you can kind of see the level where people either rise above or you don't. Because I think one of the big thing that people will say is the quality isn't good, so we can't take away anything from this game. Well, for me, when you miss 2 one-on-one chances like that, and my biggest critique is inconsistency in the final third against players that you can't use the quality debate for, it becomes really, really difficult to defend, particularly someone who's 26. And the idea that he didn't have overlapping fullbacks or he didn't have creativity, you just can't use. And so while I don't think it was like he had a horrible game, it was just the exact same critiques that I have of him in general occurred. And so for me, it's very tough to say loser. I agree with Harry, but I mean, in terms of somebody maybe proving what is still plaguing him, it's probably got to be Nico Pepe for me.
What about you, Souls? What do you think?
It's hard when you've just won 6-0 to like really put a loser on. And I know it's like, but I do think Pepe was just not the Pepe that we want to be seeing, especially, like we've just mentioned, it's West Brom, man. They fielded literally an under-23 team, and Pepe looked like he was on their level. Like that for me, it just isn't good enough. Especially that shot, especially when you try to chip it and hit the bar. I'm sorry, that should be your bread and butter. Like for someone who's in the attacking third, and it's not even a price tag thing. It's just, I think for any good level 27 now, or 26 or becoming 27, you've got to be finished. And the thing is, this isn't just this game. This has been since he's come to Arsenal. He's been missing these chances, and I think there comes a point when you have to question his ability to finish these chances and be productive with the numbers. And the thing is, he could have got a hat trick as well. I'm not even trying to be harsh on it, but there were two other key moments in that game where he could have scored and he didn't. And I'm sorry, like, this is his make or break season. And if he continues like this, it has to come to the point where you cut that sale and be like, you know what, it's got to be done now.
Before
What about you, Jess?
Well, before I say my loser, because it's not Pepe, because I knew you guys were going to pick him. There's a lot of Tavares in the chat, and personally, I feel like, there's some people that are saying that that's their winner. There's a big split in the fan base about what they saw today. I thought defensively he got bullied. I did. I thought that he was kind of bouncing off of the people that he was going up against. He looked quite weak. He was a little clumsy, but we knew he was raw. We knew that when we got him. And then I think going forward, he got better as we got better. And maybe as the nerves shook off. And, it's just one of those where it's like, we knew what we were getting, but when you see it, you're like, yeah, he's raw, So what do you guys think about that? Do you think he was more in the winners column or the losers column for today? What do you think?
He wasn't the worst. Oh, sorry, Harry. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. Either of you guys can talk. It's fine.
I mean, I'll say what Sol says. He wasn't the worst. No, I think it's a bit of both. I understand what you're saying. He's he's got a very spontaneous playing style, and you find him in positions where you wouldn't necessarily think he should be. But there's this desire for him to always be involved. And I feel like sometimes when he goes to close down the wing, he's almost a little bit loose in his body shape. And that's where you can kind of easily get around him. If he's a little bit more compact in almost how he jockeys, I think he'll improve. But I thought he had a good game. I think he gives us something different to Tierney, which is important. I like how he's really comfortable on his right foot. And, he's 21. He is baby in football years, So he's got a long way to go. But I think, he's raw. But the good thing is that there's a lot of raw talent there. And I think it's a good signing. And I've been fairly impressed with his appearances since he's come in. And look, it's a massive upgrade on Kolasinac in terms of a backup left back. So we've certainly improved there. And I think he'll improve as he goes on.
I think
so apparently just really quick, George, we're playing against AFC Wimbledon in our next round. So yes.
Nice.
Yay.
They didn't screw us over with Man City, man.
You know what? It's weird in these competitions because it feels like we always have to play like Premier League teams and stuff, like right off rip, But yep, we got AFC Wimbledon. George, go ahead.
Well, so on Nuno Tavares, he's exactly like what you want from a backup left back, isn't he? I mean, he's young in terms of the profile. He can come in and fit in if we're unsure of, Kieran Tierney. He's not going to have the same quality as Kieran, but I mean, I'm not sure that's productive in a squad and good squad management. And so what you're looking at is definitely an incomplete player, but what you are looking at is somebody very complete physically. This is my biggest issue with it. So the very least that you could say about him was he was really dominant aerially. He was very dominant in terms of controlling his space. It's just I felt his touch at times was a little bit erratic. his decision making and his passing was a little bit erratic as well. But he certainly has the nous to control the ball and release when he has to. So I didn't see any Kolasinac issues, which I would say, like, you know, when you're trying to compare, let's say, you know, backups and kind of the idea of what Kolasinac should have brought, right? For me, he was very different in profile to what our first choice was. He didn't fit a system, and physically, you could see very clear technical issues. Whereas with Tavares, a lot of this stuff is more experience-based as opposed to glaring issues that he can't fix. You know, I don't worry about him long-term physically. I don't worry about him long-term in his pass selection. I think his crossing's really, really good. Like, you're starting to see just the fundamentals of what a backup, I guess, should be. I think that's a wider debate about what we have to have about raising the floor of the team, because I think this Tavares deal is exactly what will make us get points later in the season. And I'm not using it based off this game. It's just I use it to show you what this kind of signing can do for your team. And when you start to project things a little bit more, because I think he's just shown a lot, and I'm very happy with his performance. I wouldn't quite say he's a loser in this sense, but again, I think any kind of player that gets a loser rating is tough in a 6-0 defeat, but we do have to be, you know, objective. So we do have to put our ones forward. But yeah, I'm happy with Tavares. I think he'll do really well moving forward. And I actually was very encouraged, only because West Brom are a very physical team. And so when you start to look at like check marks about adaptation, I wasn't worried about adaptation with him when I saw him here. I just saw, I think you should make this better decision in this specific scenario. And for me, that's a great problem to have, because that's coachable. I was never like, oh my God, he's so out of position, or oh my goodness, you know, physically he just can't compete. And I've had those questions with Marie, with Cedric, with some of our other squad fillers, in quotations. So it's just nice to look at that and be happy.
So Wolves have to play Spurs apparently in the next round, which is just a rematch of what the hell they just did. Nuno versus his old team. Adama will probably be on Spurs by the time they play that game. So that should be interesting, I guess. You know, but yeah, I'm glad we got the draw that we did, because let's be real, we want as easy competition as we can. Who cares? No, but I'm never going to be that person that's, I want to play the hardest team ever. No, I want to make it as easy as possible. Okay. So my loser is actually going to be Callum Chambers. I love Callum, but again, watching Cedric against Chelsea, watching Chambers against, who was it? West Brom. I just kind of thought we need something else. He looked a little bit slow, a little bit off the pace. He was on the ground quite a bit. I just think he lacked something. And it just, some games really show his bright spots, which is like his crossing ability. And then other games highlight what we really need in that position. And we need to upgrade there. I'm not sure about the Trippier deal. I'm not sure how that would shake out. But I do think we need a true upgrade there, because we just don't have it in any of our players. And although I did say over the summer that I thought Chambers would be just fine there, watching him today, I thought, nah, we need something else. And I question whether he's like not fit, like he's carrying an injury, but has he always been that slow? Or am I just...
Can I be honest? I forgot he was playing.
Oh gosh!
I genuinely forgot you.
Yeah, I mean, he's always lacked pace. I think he's learned to deal with it better over the past few seasons. There was that game at Swansea away where he got ripped inside and outside a few years back. So I think he's learned to deal with pace a little bit better. But yeah, I know what you're saying on Chambers, but I feel like the Brentford game was an off game for everyone, and maybe he's just finding his fitness a little bit. But I agree we need to strengthen there. But I also think that it might be a position that we don't strengthen.
I think this is my point, is what Tony is saying. Like, when I watch the team play, I want to see that our level is it should be way better than what we're playing against. And I don't think Chambers really looked that much better than the players we were playing against. And I'm not saying I guess that is what I'm saying, is that he didn't really stand out enough for me. And he did touch the ball.
Yeah, do you know what the problem is? Do you know it's like the same issue with Bellerin. One should lose the pace as a fullback, especially in the modern game where typically you are going to come across tricky but fast and pacey wingers. You have to choose what you're going to do, whether you're going to be a defensive-minded fullback or whether you're going to now attack. You can't do both, and that's where obviously with Nuno, we didn't mind him so much this game. And I don't like I said, he wasn't the worst of players, was because he's got the pace to recover. And with Chambers, he's having to some games when he's not being pressed as much, or if he's not being pushed back the other way, he can attack, and we've seen it against West Ham, let's say, last season when he was basically the reason we pulled it back to 3-3, was because he was stopped, like the threat the other way wasn't really coming down his side, so he was able to go onto the halfway line and start his attacks from the halfway line. Whereas with games like today, for example, he was being pushed back a little bit, and he just chose to defend. He can't do both in a game, and that's why he's looking a little bit worse off.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, if you look at someone like Kyle Walker, positionally, sometimes Walker is terribly average, but his recovery pace is so good. The problem is solved straight away by his pace, and there's a solution because he can get back and recover, and you forgot about the mistake. Whereas Chambers' positionally has to be perfect because if he's not one pass, he's not catching up with that player. So I totally get the concerns, but I do think it's still early on in the season, and I think he will improve.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more depending on who we play. He'll look good.
Man City. Who would you start, Cedric or Chambers? Don't say Maitland-Niles.
Play Russian roulette with that. I would say.
It doesn't really matter. Play Nuno Tavares for me. No, I play Nuno.
I would not play Nuno Tavares against City on the right-hand side. I would not.
I genuinely would.
I think that's probably why we need a right back more than anything, is that we have 3 or 4 options and we're not comfortable with any of them, and this is more me not wanting to choose the Pepe and choosing something else, based on just what I saw. I'm maybe nitpicking. We won 6-0, but it still is, we need a right back. I think we need a lot of things, but I think a right back would really help. But let's talk about winners. And you guys, somebody said it would be nice to have a poll. I can only do a poll for like one thing. So you guys can vote on your man of the match in the community poll that's been posted. It's between Aubameyang, Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, and Ramsdale. So you guys can start voting now. But let's talk about our winners. And I'm sure that there's quite a few that we could choose. Hopefully we choose different ones. But, well, I guess I should have asked you guys before, but it's fine. George, who's your winner for today?
Aubameyang. It's really quite simple. I was really debating with Ramsdale because I've been really, really big, but I think he deserves his own section.
I'm going to choose Ramsdale, so we can talk about him online.
Perfect. I'm choosing Aubameyang because, look, I think today was a breaker of narrative. I'm really kind of tired trying to defend the man. And regardless of what you want to say on level, the consistency in his movement, but also the last finish there is world class. And I've never been comfortable claiming a poacher of his quality and of his career as lacking a finishing edge as fair, particularly on 1 year. And I think here the reason I say him is because when you're looking at a team where many people liked previous lineups but felt there wasn't experience, many people liked the ideas of previous lineups, but maybe felt that our experience didn't shine through, didn't back it up. He was there today, 100%. And I only back it up because I feel as though he's been getting a lot of stick unduly. I'm really tired. 3 times in under a year, people have questioned his commitment to the club, have questioned his commitment to the manager. And every time it's been proven as wrong and really nothing more than speculation. And it's just annoying for me when you see him give his shirt to the away fans, and it's just very frustrating, I think, looking at him and questioning his commitment. I do get frustrated with it because I think he's proven enough to the club. When you are looking at Ramsdale, though, I'll save a special shout out. He showed everything that we thought he would come in. It's just I feel as though Aubameyang gets a lot of crap that he's not due, to be honest with you. And,
can I just quickly add, because I really wanted to, but I'll say another player later. But man, I hate the narrative that people have created. I got so much stick last year because
I feel like this is directed towards me. Like, I really do.
No, not you. No.
All of this,
I was on
say
so
Jess.
many.
I've really had it with people saying it.
I was on so many channels with an Aubameyang top and just saying this guy is going to tear it up. And I was getting so much stick because he wouldn't perform. And the thing is, look, he was averaging a shot or two per 90 last season. This game alone, he had 7 touches in the box. Think about it, man. It's logic. Data don't lie. Like, there's certain stats that you do need to back up your argument with. To have 7, well, first he had 4 shots, 3 goals. I think they were all on target as well. And
an assist.
7. Yeah, and an assist. He had 7. Well, yeah, the 4th, actually, the one shot that he didn't score with actually turned into an assist because he did that weird little bicycle kick thing and assisted Pepe with it. And then he had 7 touches in the box. Like, I'm sorry, but if the service isn't there, what the flip do you expect him to do?
Jessica, shame on you. Shame on you.
I'm putting my chest on it and I'm putting everything on the line here, right? And I'm going to tell you, with Odegaard, Aubameyang is cooking this season.
And it's not just that. Look, it's all fun and games, but at the end of the day, I'll save a little bit for Ramsdale's too, because I think the timeline deserves a lot of shame. I'm sorry. I'm getting tired of this overreaction about what's happened.
I need shame?
No, not you. The timeline needs some shame about how we approach signings that we don't like and that we don't give the open mind to is really a problem. Aaron Ramsdale, I had huge positive thoughts towards, was called every name under the sun because I'm being biased and I'm not looking at the player. And anyone who did their due diligence on Aaron Ramsdale would have seen much of what they saw today. And it's really getting ridiculous that fans have this perception of what a good signing is. And if it doesn't meet your subjective opinion on it, then it's automatically crap. Because all I saw on the timeline for Aaron Ramsdale was he's not good enough. There's no way that the profile is right. There's no way that
he's been relegated twice.
Yes.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
3 times now, they're saying.
And it's just, it goes back to our point, or I guess my point rather, of narrative being dominated by opinion. And I don't think that this one game should be a precedent for you to talk about our projection of a team. But I just got really, really tired of the overreaction of the last week or so of our team in general. The entire timeline has been, for me, ridiculous in terms of there was no context made about why we are where we are. And anybody that was looking at this West Brom game logically would have seen we were due a performance. That I think we would get 6-0? Absolutely not. But what we saw, Aubameyang's movement was amazing in his cameo against Chelsea. Anybody thinking that this wasn't going to carry on was just being biased at this point for me. It was very, very clear. And, I'm just glad that we're choosing to, hopefully use this as a springboard to go on and see what this team is about, because I've seen a lot of takes that this team is crap. They're no good. We're going to be in relegation fodder. And it went the other way. I think there was due criticism, and rightly so, I might add. But people underrating our team and what we can do has been a problem for me in the last couple of weeks. And I just hope that we can all just enjoy the win, not get carried away. I'm sure City will be a long night as well. But what we saw here, there's a lot of fundamentally great things, and as fit and firing Aubameyang should absolutely change the calculus for what many feel we can do this season, because a 20-goal a season Aubameyang should absolutely change what you feel this team can do. And I've always felt he is absolutely due back another 20 goals a game, or a 20-goal kind of contribution season easily. Aubameyang's probably my winner.
I'm going to go next because I felt the battering. I felt it. I'm going to go with Ramsdale just because I feel like the entire time I've been very consistent about the price is probably not good, but I'm not a goalkeeping expert, and everybody who knows goalkeeping said he's good. So why do I think I know more? The idea that because he's been relegated, his teams have been relegated, that means he's no good. And again, if you're 23 years old and you're starting in the Premier League, you're good, because most goalkeepers at 23 are on loan somewhere or sitting right in the bench. He's also, in the English national team, and I know it's because somebody got injured, but there's other English goalkeepers that they could have brought up and they didn't. They still brought him up. So for me, it was about a little bit more investigation, trying to figure out what the club was trying to do. Aaron Ramsdale, if we decided to sell him in a couple of years, is going to make us a lot of money. And even if we don't decide to sell him, he's going to be a really good goalkeeper. For me, I think I wanted to see him today because I want him as a number one as soon as possible. I think Leno has lost the confidence of the fan base and probably his back line. And I think we just need to shake it up. That pass that he made was it into Odegaard in between the lines? That's what we're missing. Leno can't do that. Leno can't do that.
You know what was so funny about that game? You know when Ramsdale had that little winding, like where he jumped up for the corner?
Yeah.
Leno, I've never seen Leno run so fast to get on that picture. Like, oh, for fuck's sake, my space is gone, mate.
It's been gone. I honestly feel like he's lost that for a while now. So for me, I think the type of criticism that Ramsdale was getting all the way up until the abuse that he was suffered by the fans, I don't care if it was West Brom or not. And quite frankly, this is not about it being West Brom's second string. This is about the performances that we've been waiting to see from certain players that we know will carry on from game to game. So, yeah, we have to have context, but I'm seeing in the chat box, it's West Brom, it's West Brom. It's not about that. Ramsdale is showing qualities that we need in our goalkeeper, and I'm all for it. Now we just have to figure out what his nickname is. Any ideas?
Whamsdale.
We can't call him Rambo.
Why not?
Right?
Why?
Because that's the other Rambo.
Nah, it don't matter, innit? That pagan left us, innit?
I think I want to call him Rams or something. Somebody said Rama-lama Ding Dong.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a bit.
You know what? For Ramsdale, look, I want some more praise because there's been a lot of crap here about what he did. And even in this game, you could tell what he does to our buildup. You could tell what he did in terms of the efficiency of how quick we were able to transition. His composure under pressure from a press, his composure, which we didn't see, by the way, at Brentford. There's absolutely clear metrics here that we could see in terms of his distribution. Well, we talked about his verticality. He had it. His lines into midfield, he absolutely has it. Is it consistent? No, but at least he does it with authority. His claiming of crosses, which, by the way, we highlighted previously as well, is excellent, and it showed. There's just a lot of qualities here that I don't think people did their due diligence on, quite frankly, and it's absolutely important having a goalkeeper of his quality in there over Leno. And I think he showed in spades in this performance, forget who the opposition is, your process of how you got there, not just the result, is why we're excited. I'm not excited because it was 6-0. I'm not excited because it was against West Brom's under-16s, if you want to be pedantic. I'm excited because of what he allowed our forwards to do. What I saw, the impact of that passing in allowing us to progress quickly. Our chance creation, which absolutely, forget who it was absolutely more efficient. And so, for me, that's what you have to praise. And of course, you need more body of work to be definitive in what you feel. But this just backs up a lot of what was said, at least on this channel, from other people, yourself, Jess, us as well, about saying, calm down, let's look at what we have. And I'm just frustrated that people can't learn to maybe change their mind or maybe do a little bit of research, because I really think this signing will be one of the better ones that we've made and will look an absolute masterstroke in maybe 3 or 4 years.
Imagine thinking Ramsdale is the worst keeper in the league. Imagine thinking that just because he was on the worst team in the league. I'm sorry. That's horrible.
Do you know what's funny?
Go ahead. Yeah.
He had, I know you were on the terrace before and he said he was the worst keeper. And I was like, you do realize for the past 2 seasons, he's made the most saves out of any other Premier League keeper. He's got the highest save percentage out of any other Premier League keeper. And I'm like, that doesn't mean he's bad. It just means his team can't score. That was their issue. Every team he's been in.
Most relegation teams, that's more their issue than anything. It's not about keeping goals out. It's they can't score. And I just felt like I wanted to see, because I had heard rumors that Arsenal wanted a competitive environment for their goalkeepers. And it made me uneasy. It did, because I've never really seen that before. But then when it was like Ramsdale, I'm like, okay, well, let's see. But goalkeepers, I mean, for him to be 23 and to be starting in the Premier League is definitely, and again, 24 million for our future starting goalkeeper, which, I mean, we paid about the same for Leno, is not bad.
It's peanuts.
The backup thing, we paid 24 for a backup. He was never a backup, you guys. I'm so tired of hearing that, So again, we know it's Carabao Cup and all that, but he does deserve some flowers because the levels to which we went to abuse him, or not really us, but the fan base, was just stupid.
And did you see his early distribution about what that made on the team? Like, I just want to highlight some of these fundamentals are so key. It wasn't just his aerial claim of crosses, which will help our set piece poor ability, which we've clearly seen in preseason as a problem. His early release and his balls into midfield so that Odegaard didn't have to drop as deep as often meant that Aubameyang had not just the 1 or 2 chances, but the 3 or 4. Like, these are all the indicators that we had been talking about. And I don't think that he's going to be consistent, by the way. I still think his decision-making can be erratic, but you don't expect it to be kind of complete at 23 years old. But what you will get with Aaron Ramsdale is early authoritative decisions. That is what Emmy was absolutely praised for. I don't think Emmy had an absolutely massive passing range. I think that's disingenuous. What I do think he had was absolutely elite early distribution. And he saw the pass that was on and he released it. This has been a problem with Rob Holding, with others in our squad, and why our progression is slow. And anybody that increases that is an absolute exponential increase on what we can do. It's not just defense being great. It's going to affect the attack. So, yeah, I think he deserves tons and tons of praise. Forget the opposition. Just how he's played is excellent.
We have a new member of the channel, Gary Lee. Thank you so much for joining the channel. I really appreciate it. Your first member stream will be this Friday, a live Q&A for members only with FK from the Latte Firm. So good time to join. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully see you soon. So, Souls, who is your winner? Were you going to choose Aubameyang too, or are you going to choose somebody else?
I was, but I'll go.
You picked the good ones already, huh?
No. I think this guy deserves a lot of praise. He's a guy that I've been looking at for a while. It's Martin Odegaard. Like, the guy today made the difference. Yeah, honestly, man, he was doing things that we missed. And I said, once Odegaard comes into this team, we'll start to see midfield control. And I know it's West Brom, and I know it's an easy opponent to do it against, but some of his around the corner flicks, especially for the Saka goal, the first time just kind of doing those back heel and it's straight into Saka's path that Aubameyang left for Saka to score. Brilliant assist. And these are the little things that we do miss. And this is what I talk about an elite level final pass. And that's what he's got. He's got an eye for a needle pass. And also, you've seen a lot of pressing from him. I always relate to him as a hard-working Ozil. And that's all I see from him. And he will dictate games. He will control games as time goes on. As the more you sort of see him develop, and this is the thing, he's got that area to develop in, and he will be an elite number 10 or an elite number 8 depending on how we start to move forward. And as much as, yes, the disappointment of not getting Maddison and going for Odegaard, yes, it hurt everyone. But for me, for people to slander him, to say, oh, we didn't see enough of him, I'm sorry. The same people are telling me Pepe should be at this club after 3 seasons of failing, are telling me that Odegaard doesn't deserve more than half a season to be judged on just because Zidane doesn't want him, just because Carlo Ancelotti didn't want him. But Carlo Ancelotti didn't want Henry, so what does that make Arsenal? Is he no longer...
They needed to sell him because they're broke. They did not want to sell him.
No.
I just want to make
30
clear.
million for in my opinion, elite level talent is not a bad signing. No matter what, that will recoup your money back. In about 2 years' time, if he ever did want to leave, we'll make way more than 30 million on him. He is a 50 to 60 million future price. And Maddison, on the other hand, he probably will recoup you your 50, 60 million, but his ceiling for me, I think, has been hit. He's been a Premier League player. He's shown us the levels he can bring. Yes, he will bring us to top 4 right now. But Odegaard and ESR in the same team will just dictate games for fun. And that's the future that I'm so excited to see. And the thing is, some of his... and I said it, Odegaard suits an Aubameyang. Odegaard and Maddison, for me, I could understand the thought process of why we went for these 2 players. Odegaard will play the players in behind rather than play them to their feet, back to goal. And that's the thing. And also, on the other hand, he can transition that into 1-2 passing and dictate games, flow games, and bring players in. He was coming in deep to make a change. So I do think, for me, obviously, if we're going for different players, I think this guy deserves a lot of praise as well. And I know it's West Brom, and I understand that, but it shows. It really shows we lack, because Brentford, for example, a team that's just been promoted, we didn't control the game. That's why we got overrun. That's why we got absolutely pummeled, like attacking wise, and we had to defend a lot more. But Odegaard was coming in, pressing high, allowing El Neni to release the ball to him or Xhaka a lot quicker because he was available, demanding the ball and making sure once he got it. And the thing is, this is what ESR for me needs to learn, is to release the ball a lot quicker. And Odegaard for me, I'm not saying it's perfect timing, by the way, but it was a lot more decisive and he knew what needed to happen. And I'm excited, man. I really am. Put him and ESR in the same team against those top 6 teams. That's what
I
we
like
got
them
results
together.
with.
I like them together. Yeah.
Against City, if we do that, I reckon we'll control the game. I reckon I'm not saying we'll get a result. I'm not saying we'll get a result, but I'm just saying
we'll touch the ball. We know that.
Yeah. We'll control the game a lot better than if he wasn't there. But I'm excited, man. I love the. And also, can I please just say, he's now permanent. He knows for the next 5 years. For the next 5 years, this is his home. You got to understand, when you're going on loan after loan after loan with no certainty about your future, you're never really gonna fulfill your potential. Yeah, you never settle because you're like, oh, my Sociedad, okay, whatever. I'm going back to Madrid, and then Madrid are like, no, you're going back out again, and it is a lot of like, well, what's happening with my future? And it does start to dip your game a little bit. Now, the fact that we made it a 5-year deal, he knows he's here, he knows the project, he likes the manager, he likes the club. I just think this is where he's going to start cooking.
What I will say is that I still feel like, there's the thing is like you can like both players, like 2 players, and think one helps us more or expedites the project a little bit more or fits a little bit better. I think Aouar, Odegaard, and Maddison improve you. And I think on this channel in particular, we were very Maddison forward, pro Maddison. Maddison was the number 1 choice. And I still stand by that. I think people, they kind of it's like, oh, you've changed your tune. I never said I didn't like Odegaard. I said I prefer Maddison. And for this particular reason that AK Gunner says, I like Odegaard, but he's not a goal scorer, high assister. He's the pre-assist. So in order for him to be successful, obviously you have to have an Aubameyang in front of him, but also some other players like Saka and ESR in that team to kind of add that balance, but you also need goal scorers too. So you still have to fill the rest of the team with something else. And I feel like Maddison would have ticked a couple more boxes just in case we were shy of goal scoring talent.
Well, Jess, I mean, even logically, like when we look at the game, I don't want to go overboard because look, when we looked at Odegaard, I think what he provided in the team today was another secure final third technician. Okay. And I don't want to go overboard because what really made the run was Saka's driving run. Like everyone's going on the assist, which was a great piece of invention. It was great awareness. It was. But that play comes from Saka driving deep, coming from breaking lines on his own and willing to run beyond. Aubameyang in the position to take kind of advantage of that. And so, look, I think that we have complementary pieces here. I still stand by the fact that, yes, he has a consistent final ball, but at the same time, we don't have the efficiency in front of goal with him. There is a level below on that, but that doesn't mean that his profile doesn't improve the players around him to kind of get that output up. And you don't necessarily need to have a player that does that. There's a lot of times I don't think we go after the indirect effect of a signing, where a signing doesn't just come in and improve creativity because he's creative. He could improve output because he gets the best out of Aubameyang, for example. He could get the best out of Pepe or Saka, who become outlets when you have somebody functioning there along with ESR. So I think when you're looking at who is best and who's not, for me, the situation and the door kind of closes once you've got your players in. I still do agree with you, Jess. I think Maddison, what he solved was 2 problems in 1, whereas I think Odegaard solves a problem, and I don't think anyone ever debated that. I just don't think he solves a secondary problem that we also have, namely efficiency in the final third. What I think he does do is contribute to our progression. He helps us speed things up a bit more, a reliable technician in the final third to receive. Now, it is a little bit kind of not sure about how consistent he can be because I think he showed these games before, actually, in those 6 months. So I think the big thing for him is to show this level of domination of space throughout the entirety of the season. And then we can start to move on. But look, I think we have the workings of a really great team. It's just right now when we have our squad here, I think we should just look at maximizing the best out of the output here at this point. And I think when you look at it, it seems like creativity across the front line is absolutely the way to go. I think we've seen that output can improve with who we have by having more people that can receive between the lines. And that's basically what it is, right? So whether that's getting a War, Odegaard, these are all enablers that give us between the line security. And if you start to add Partey, Lokonga, some more transition control, you get the myriad of that sustained attacking patterns that we keep preaching about kind of on this system. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy for Odegaard. I did want him to do a little bit more aggression in some of the spots that I saw. I still think that there's another level that he can go in. But this was a really great performance from him.
Harry, who's your winner?
Hi. I'm going to go left field, and I'm going to say... he's not my winner, but
Don't say Arteta.
No. Well, I'm not going to go for the obvious ones because we've chosen them. I'm going to just give a shout out to Kolasinac because I thought he played relatively well at left centre back. I thought he looked decent on the ball and he had a good attitude about him. Very easy to come in and sulk. Very easy to come in and not be on the ball, not be on the level. And one thing I must say about Kolasinac, whilst he's definitely not good enough, whenever I see training videos of him or I see him around the squad, he looks like he's a good spirit. When Ramsdale was down injured, he was straight away there checking Ramsdale. So just a brief mention to Kolasinac simply for his attitude and his application. Nothing else. I'm not saying we should keep him. I'm not saying he's great. I'm just saying that. And I am going to give the W to Mikel Arteta because over the past few weeks, it must have been absolute hell for him. He's come in to an absolute joke of a football club, a joke of a business. He's tried to fix things during the pandemic. It's been one step forward.
Wait, I thought Marie was the manager tonight. Did you not see them have a good conversation?
He's definitely telling Arteta what we need to do in that back three.
But yeah, so it's been one step forward, 20 steps back, some of which is definitely Arteta's fault and falls on Arteta's hands. But we've had a horrible few weeks as a club. The media are picking up on it. Sky are asking some really patronising questions. At the end of Chelsea game last week, Jess Shreves was like, "Did you hear the booing?" And there wasn't really a lot of booing, but they're trying to push it. Before tonight's game, the guy was overemphasising the strong lineup to almost overemphasise the shock result if it comes. So I think the media are slowly, out there with their guns, ready to shoot down Arteta. So shout out for Arteta for fielding a strong team, staying resilient, putting everything into perspective. So my W goes for Mikel Arteta, the greatest manager ever.
Arteta after the game said, "Today's game is going to give us some confidence. We had players who played some first minutes. Abba after COVID to get some minutes and score 3 goals for his confidence is going to be great. Overall, I think a real positive night." There's somebody else that I feel like needs a mention that didn't really play a lot of minutes, but I do think made a huge impact. Probably should have had an assist and a goal, and that's Alexander Lacazette, who also had COVID issues and has been out. He looked really sharp as well. It felt like he had a point to prove a little bit. When Laka is doing the Laka thing where he feels like we've known Laka. I think he had a point to prove and wanted to get in. And the thing about Lacazette is that I feel most of the time, except for there was a weird period when I think Arteta first came in where he was a little bit more down. But for the most part, he always gives 110%. And he does add some things into this team that Aubameyang can't. And I just wish we could fit the two of them in the team together and get the most out of both. But it feels like it's almost detrimental to each other when they play together. But any kind words to say about Lacazette? I mean, the goal that he took was really nice. He should have had an assist. Pepe messed that one up. Harry, what did you think about Lacazette coming off the bench? And if you had to choose who you wanted to start against Man City, would you choose Lacazette, Aubameyang, or both?
Yeah, listen, I agree. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Lacazette. Sometimes I really enjoy watching him and sometimes he does frustrate me. In the penalty box, he feels like he's pretty lethal. His first touch is always on point. He's good with his back to play, almost rolling a defender. So there's definitely some elements to his game which I'm really fond of. And like you say, his attitude is always there. He's always up for the fight, always up for the battle, which is great. Going to Man City, I would go with Aubameyang simply because I feel like with Lacazette, I feel like we're going to be deep anyway. Man City are going to be high up. And I just feel like if we hit Lacazette, it's almost a little bit too predictable back to play. I feel like we do need that out ball. And that is, for me, Aubameyang. Now, don't get me wrong. Those out balls can be through Pepe and Saka. But I just feel like if Aubameyang's on form, that little 10 minutes we saw against Chelsea, it just gives us the option to go long, but go long with purpose. Granit Xhaka played a few good through balls tonight, which really helped, which we haven't seen a long time. But almost, creating those one-on-ones for Aubameyang. So I'd be more inclined to go with Aubameyang, but I do appreciate if we don't have a lot of the ball, we might want to hit someone and let it stick for a little bit, try and build up possession. But I just feel like slow build-up attacks won't be the way to hurt City. I think it's about trying to exploit their fullbacks when they're forward. So I would go Aubameyang, just.
What do you think, Souls?
I think you've got to look at the way City play, and especially with their transition when they do attack, they usually leave one holding centre back, and they tend to allow the secondary centre back to also bomb forward to make a high line press. And the way that you break that is with an Aubameyang, and the way that I would play it is Aubameyang, ESR, Odegaard, and Saka. That's the way I would go in this game, because number one, it allows you to bring and dictate the game. But it also, and I feel like the way we played today, where we were trying to draw West Brom out of their shape and trying to draw them and try and playing out of the back a bit and then just hitting them over the top, is what is the practice we needed to do what we need to do against City. Because City, number one, will already be drawn into our box anyway. But then it's just, how are we then going to make these quick transitions? And that's where, credit to Xhaka, he can do that. He's got that really killer over-the-top ball. If you can then, instead of El Neni, bring Lokonga in and then bring that front line with Odegaard, ESR, Aubameyang and Saka, you'd be cooking. And I'm not saying we're going to win, but it gives you the best opportunity to really impose yourself on this game and put a threat in City as well. Because what we need to do is take the game, and I keep saying this to people, the way you beat City is by not fearing them. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you look at every team that's beaten them, it's teams that have always said, you know what, it's City and what? Tottenham did it. They left 3 attackers up top and said, you know what, we're taking it to you. And that's how they beat them. Leicester did the same. Leicester said, you know what, we're taking the game to you. They beat them. Liverpool do it every single time, and that's why they're kryptonite, because they're just like, you know what, we don't fear you. You're City and what? We're Liverpool. And they're the teams that tend to get one over on Pep. And that's even at Bayern Munich, that's at Barcelona. And I reckon, like, if we can do that with that attack, I think, I'm not saying we're going to win, by the way, guys, but I just think we will not be humiliated, at least, at the bare minimum, or we can try and get a draw out of it.
Yeah, for sure. George, what do you think about Lacazette, Aubameyang? How do you choose the right combination or choose one or the other for Man City? Because I think we know without having a lot of the ball, we need an out ball, and Lacazette gives that to you. But Aubameyang is definitely our better striker, and when he's on form, he's pretty much unplayable. The two of them together sometimes work and sometimes doesn't. So what do you think?
I actually don't think they work together ever. It's one of my fundamental rules, and if I see Arteta doing it, I'm going to slam him. I don't think they work well together at all. I think you make a decision on your 9. Lacazette requires wing forwards. If you're going to play that way, put Martinelli and Pepe as your wingers, if that's what you want in terms of a Lacazette type. If you want Aubameyang, you need to have technical security on the last front 3, so that's ESR, Odegaard, Saka. That is how you shape your front line based on your number 9. Now, when you look at City, what is the tactical battle that's going to happen here? It's absolutely what the lads have been saying, and yourself as well, Jess. It's them controlling possession, them wanting territory, and us being efficient in our transitions. And so in order to do that, what you need is your wingers to have a little level of technical security, because they're going to be pressured. And so the big thing is, I would actually choose Aubameyang. I think he's in form. You carry this kind of form of Aubameyang and what he's doing. Leave Lacazette for a plan B. I think it's an excellent way for us to keep it tight, but maybe nick a goal with Aubameyang and then switch it with Lacazette to introduce some wing forwards if you are in the game and you do want to go for it in the last 20 minutes. I think that's how you play this game. It's the same reason as Chelsea. Chelsea have overloads, excellent build-up, and so when you do look at it, you want your wingers to be options, that can receive under pressure, turn quickly, and release the outlet. And I don't think that you want a Martinelli or a Pepe partnership on the wings in this game. That's more what it comes down to me, not necessarily Lacazette and Aubameyang, but what kind of partnership do we want on the wings for this game? Because I think both have shown that they're in good form. I mean, Lacazette came on, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, he had a great game today. Like, I saw him very nippy. I saw him very aware of his surroundings, releasing the ball at the right times, not holding on to it. So you can't say that his form doesn't warrant a consideration. It's just, for me, I don't think they work well together. We've seen that they don't work well together. Don't fall into that lazy trap again. And if you're going to play Aubameyang, do it to kind of facilitate him. Don't do it at the expense of other people. So, yeah, I go Aubameyang with technical security behind.
And also, just quickly, we've been almost flirting around with Aubameyang left wing, Lacazette up front, swapping, changing for a year, or what feels even longer. Like, there's no more time now to muck around. We've got to make a decision. If it's Aubameyang, it's Aubameyang, and then maybe you shift Lacazette in the window, or if it's Lacazette, you go with Lacazette. But I feel like we need to make a decision. I get that some strikers will suit different game plans, but I mean, top teams don't rotate strikers. You just don't do it. Everyone's got their number 9, or everyone's got their leading striker. And now I just think go with Aubameyang, like George said, build it around Aubameyang, and then we'll probably see a more old school Aubameyang banging in goals again, not putting it out on the left wing and flirting and going back and forth and running back and forth. We don't need to go back there anymore. We need to progress with Aubameyang up front if that's the plan, or unless he goes to Man City and that changes everything, because that's always a possibility as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. You guys, we're getting towards the end of the show, and I do want to take a couple of you guys' calls, make sure that you guys can have your say. So the link is pinned to the chat. I will post it in the chat as well, just in case you guys can't see it. You guys can. I would prefer you guys to come on. We're doing this, right? Sometimes you guys like to leave me alone. I'm glad I have friends today, because it's like the worst when nobody wants to come on and say anything. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. But you guys, let's talk about the man of the match. I mean, we've kind of spoken about who were the best players in the game. I think Odegaard, Aubameyang, Ramsdale, and Saka, right? So those are the main ones. But George, who do you think was the main man today first?
So I know I praised Oba, but for me, it's Ramsdale. I think what he did to this team about the chance creation was just so clear. I also don't think that, his couple shaky moments at the beginning was also coinciding with our team's shaky moments at the beginning in terms of the first 10 minutes of intensity. I think, he was a little bit nervous, but I do think the narrative of the game switched when he got himself on the ball, calmed down a bit, and started making some decisions that he knows and that he can do. And I think he just affected us in so many areas of the pitch that, for me, I'm going to give my man of the match to him. I know what Aubameyang can do. I never thought he wouldn't do this, so I wasn't too surprised about that per se. But I think Aaron showed why he could absolutely compete for the starting position. And he's really asking Mikel a dangerous question now. Like, what do you do? Do you stick or twist with Leno at this point? If he's your long-term, everyone knows what I would do. I would absolutely put Aaron in. But again, it does send an interesting message to the dressing room, right? And I know these are things that people don't want to hear, but sometimes playing a worse player or not can be a very difficult situation for a manager. So for me, yeah, it's got to be Ramsdale, because I think what he's shown, what people felt that he was, what he was prior, and what he actually showed to date, there's a big gap. So for me, that's the biggest thing why Aaron.
So do you start Ramsdale against City, George? If you were,
I do, 100%.
I have to be honest, absolutely. I know you're not asking me, but I jumped in.
I wasn't asking you, Jess.
I'm George.
Second, right? I'm going to ask you in a second.
I thought you said Jeff. My bad.
No. Jessica, would you start Ramsdale against Man City?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I would.
You. See,
I honestly just wanted him to play today so that he could get his feet wet, so he could start against City.
Yeah. No, I hear you. My only fear would be that we go to Man City and through no fault of his own, we get absolutely peppered, and that maybe dampens his confidence a little bit. That's my only fear on him. Not that I think it would, but I just feel like if we lose 3 or 4-0, it could be easy shots thrown at Ramsdale.
You know what it is, Harry? it's the idea that we could get smashed, but what he gives to our back line was absolutely so clear. Like, we have poor confidence, period. And what it is for me is absolutely making sure that we give the entire team the best confidence that we can, because I don't think that, we look at City as something that we could really get a result out of. And so if it's going to be a long hill, in a sense, I want to give our players the best chance of a win. And for me, it kind of goes back to maybe the criticism of what Mikel hasn't done the last 2 games. For me, Aaron Ramsdale gives you the best chance to win from a build-up perspective, especially from City's press. I think Burnt will get absolutely torched from a City press. And I also don't think that, our defenders are going to enjoy having Burnt in there, because I think Ramsdale provided a level of authority that we lacked without Burnt.
Okay, guys, just really quick, you guys. I just want to stop just really quick. First of all, Karan's here, so we have to let him talk. Second of all, we have to, okay, this is George, the person on the screen, the big screen. This is George. This is not bottom right guy. This is George. Okay? This is Souls. We need name tags. I'm going to put you guys' names back up here. This is not bottom left guy. This is Souls. I see a lot of that.
I'm good with either.
And this is Harry. So I think we need to there's a lot of new people on the channel today, so you have to make sure that they know your guys' names. But this is Karan, and I want to give him a chance to have his save. But before that, we have 300 people watching on all platforms. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a member, and consider coming on. The link is pinned onto the chat, so if you guys want to come on and have your say, please do so. We don't bite, we promise. So, Karan, what do you want to talk about?
You promise, right? It's not going to be that bit in that. It's been a good game. Let's be real. Like, there were issues that were evident. I mean, Nuno got skinned a couple of times in that first half, but it looked like he'd be a good wide outlet. I did like the patterns we were doing. The using both Saka and Odegaard as dual 10s in build up made sense, because you're not having too much crowding. You're actually spreading out the build up. And it wasn't just we were just going through one side. We started going a bit too much one-sided. We started going through Saka too much, and then we sort of realized we can't just go all through Saka. We have to sort of move it across the pitch, which was interesting. It was just a lot of good things, but a couple of iffy performances as well. I didn't really. I mean, George knows me fairly well. We have disagreements on it, but I don't like Chambers' performance today. I thought he was a bit too lackadaisical at times. And you guys all know me. I'm the biggest Chambers stan on the planet Earth, but I didn't like him today. But yeah, like it's just the one thing I will say is that Arteta did say that he was going to focus on exits in the next couple of days. So maybe Kolasinac, Willian, maybe even Nketiah or Maitland-Niles as well. So maybe we can see a couple more signings, maybe an Aouar, maybe a Trippier, or someone of that ilk. But yeah, it was a good performance, and looks like we'll have a busy end of the window.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping so, to be honest. Like, I'm not 100% sure that we get, I think we want to right back. That's the only thing I know of for sure. But I'm not sure about the Aouar thing. The concrete reports are actually saying that he's being offered around. Like, it's not one of those where, how they have a player and they're being offered by their agent. I think it's more that, and Spurs and us are interested under certain circumstances. So I'm not sure if that gets done, but we know that we're in for a right back. And watching Chambers today, I'm similar to you, Karan, that I like him. I think he does a good job, but I still think we need some sort of upgrade there. But I do want to kind of chat about the rumor about the Qatari rumor. Have you guys heard it? I know we kind of talked about it.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit about it before we get off, because I think this is so interesting. So
Really?
It doesn't, I don't think it feels like the Daniel Ek thing, but I mean, on a scale of like 1 to complete fabrication, let's say, no, what is it? Complete fabrication to probably true. What do you guys think it is? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like.
So from what I've been hearing anyway, so I was mentioning before, I know a few people who work in Qatar and work with multi-billion-pound organizations, and they're sort of head of their retail departments and stuff as well. And talking to a few, these Qataris have a big ego. They're not like Daniel Ek, where they're just going to come out and be bullied by the Cronkies and just turn away if once they come. These guys are worth $300 billion. They are not going to just walk away because they added an extra 500 million to the price tag just to make it not worth it. And the thing is, when the Qataris put their intention, and this is the only thing, this is why I'm like, it's probably 7, 8 out of 10 in terms of whether this is true, because they're mentioning it like nothing's got a price, but everything, you know what? And if they want Arsenal Football Club, and the way it's looking is it's the PSG's brother who wants it. It's the owner's brother who really wants to do this, and they compete with each other in terms of financial power. And this is just how the Qataris and Arabs run their sort of business, and they always want to one up each other. And for them to come in, what they're looking for is to basically bring over the PSG model, but into the Premier League. And for them to be able to do that, they need a club who can, number one, have the marketing ability to be able to swindle the numbers and get away with FFP rulings. And this is just me being truthfully honest here. I'm not even trying to be like, like they're trying to do fraud or anything, but they know Arsenal, number one, have the marketing power which Man City didn't have. And that's why they got caught with FFP and having to go to court and prove that, they're marketable and their sort of sponsorship deals were actually not fabricated, nor were they overvaluated. So they want to come in with a club who firstly got a massive following. They've got a good name in the Premier League and bring them back, which is what they did with PSG. PSG are, in Paris. It's the center of basically France, and it's it's the global capital of the fashion week. They know they can get these big clientele into the game and bring them as guests, such as more like the UFC structure. And that's what they're trying to do, but bringing it over to the Premier League. And these guys have been flirting with the idea for a very long time. And when you look at their tweets, they're very cryptic, but that's how you do business, especially on a multi-billion-dollar level. So I do think there is some truth to it. I just wonder what the price is for the Cronkies to want to sell. It may be double, even though the valuation of Arsenal on a business level is 2 billion. They may have to go to 4 billion just to be able to buy it. I don't care about this humanity crap. Look at the amount of oil money owners there are, man. I'm sorry. I just care about the football. How they make their money, that's on them. I don't really care. I can't do anything about that.
Well, I want to ask Karan about this before I let him go. Karan, what do you think about the Qatari rumors? And I mean, for you, is that something that you think is possibly on the cards? And do you think it's we talk about Man City and other teams like that ruining football, but would you feel that same way if it was Arsenal?
I mean, I'm off Twitter, so I only heard about this about 15 minutes ago. But
okay, perfect.
From what I did read, it does look like something that will be pursued. I don't know if it's viable. I don't really think that it's something we should be reading too much into at this stage, especially when we're talking no structure. Because the thing is, because me and George say this on our show all the time. It's just we have to.
And what is that show again?
Ball Over Passion. So we have we always look for the plan rather than just look at a name. It's great having all the money thrown at you as you want, but we need. I mean, do we want another sort of Edu, sort of Sanye type person involved in the same sort of footballing role? We need to see some plans involved. Need to see what their plan for the club is. It's not just a case of, oh, great, Arabs love oil money, this is going to be great, let's all go in. Because the thing is, it's got to be something that's got to be thought out properly and shown to the fans properly. Because at the moment, we're just looking and trying to guess what's going on at the club, and it's just a bit of a shambles.
Yeah, I think it's more than just they're going to pump money in. It definitely has to, because I still think regardless, there are things that can go wrong. People may just think it's just like you spend the money, it's going to be just fine. But yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with that. And I want to get George's opinion. But Karan, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you around, guys.
Thank you. I'm actually going to go ahead and bring on Aslan and get his say right after George. George, tell me what you think about the whole Qatari thing.
I think that we need to have a rating less than 0. I think it's absolute fabrication. I think it's ridiculous that an owner would allow 130 million pounds spent for a team and allow investment when they're considering a sale. I think it's ridiculous that Josh Kroenke would not use Arsenal as his coming out party to the global enterprise. I think it's the way that KSC have moved in this window in terms of both ambition and backing can't be questioned in terms of monetary. And I just don't believe that, Qatari money is going to be a value takeover at this moment in time. I also wouldn't do it. I know it might be a little bit controversial to people. I am a fan of doing things right through process. I am a fan of backing up kind of what the club's values are. And I really don't believe that type of owner is conducive to what we would call an Arsenal way. And I really do value that type of process personally. I wouldn't sell my soul to Qatari money. I don't believe in how they've got their money is ethical. I do think it is an absolute ethical situation.
Can I just ask, right? I'm not trying to be like rude or disrespectful. No billionaire has made their money morally. I'm sorry, they've all done something that we all disagree with, whether it's highly disagreeing with it or whether we disagree with it on a smaller level. I don't believe any billionaire in the world can truly make that amount of money without being a little bit unethical or immoral, in my opinion.
Well, there's a little bit of a difference between a little bit immorality and kind of what you've made your enterprise off the back of, particularly with the Qatari kind of background in there. Look, I'm fundamentally absolutely not happy in terms of buying my way to the top. And for me, I felt that this club has never done that in terms of cutting corners, in doing things the right way. I don't feel that investment has held us back, particularly in this window. I don't think those claims are really consistent, to be honest with you. And yes, you're right that there are billionaire owners that aren't morally kind of angels. That does not exist. But the one thing I do know is Josh has shown a willingness to be involved. I do know that when I look at KSC, they have a history and track record for returning franchises that were really struggling down to absolute contenders in their respective sport. They've done it not just in one, but in multiple sports. And I'm also cognizant of what a billionaire owner can do to a club in the future. When I look at Chelsea, if Roman were to ever leave, the amount of debt that club is in is absolutely fearful. When I look at the balance sheet at Arsenal, regardless of what you might feel, it's a club that isn't tied to a specific owner. Its future isn't tied to specific success of an owner. You're not really tied to that at all. And so for me, it does become a moral argument. I'm not a fan of a Qatari money. I also think it's ridiculous that they would do now to kind of change, particularly in the middle of a transfer season and what would evidently take over years. And I think it would delay a project that's already moving. There seems to be a synergy with those up top right now. I don't think it's coincidence that Josh is here. I've said it in past streams. There's a reason that Josh is here, and that really Edu should really kind of
he needs to go
be careful of his job. But I don't think that means an owner is disengaged. That doesn't look to me like an owner that is willing to sell. That doesn't look to me of somebody that is looking at it just as an asset.
Yeah, just quickly, I think obviously from an Arsenal fan's perspective, the patience is thin and we want success, but there's many ways to do it. There is the Chelsea and Man City way, but you can also do it the Leicester way. You can kind of do it the Liverpool way to a certain extent. So I think it's about staying a little bit more true to our traditions as a club. And I totally get why as a fan base, we are desperate for someone to come and pump lots of money into our club. But we just need to make sure we are ready for when Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea have an off season, we are in a good position to pounce. Because like George said, Josh Kroenke is here for a reason and he's been active for a reason. I know everyone might have his price, but I just don't see it. That Spotify bid was all a lot of noise, and then after a week it's just completely silent, completely dead. And for me, this just seems like another business just trying to get some extra followers out there and raise their profile, and it'll all be silent in a few weeks. But I know it's hard, and I know it might be really appealing for us to sell our soul to progress, but you can do it the organic way. You can. It takes a lot longer, but it will feel a lot much better. And if it does happen, you can celebrate even more because it's something to be really proud of.
All right, let's get Aslan in here and see what he has to say. Aslan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone in the chat. How's everybody feeling?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It was a great result tonight. 6-0 to the Arsenal. Oba hat-trick. Laka scoring, Pepe scoring, Saka scoring. So majority of our attacking players have now got a goal under their belts. And in terms of their confidence is up. But yeah, look, on the back of that result, I'm not feeling gassed whatsoever. Because on the weekend we've got Man City, and we all know our track record with Man City is not that good. And yeah, so I don't know. Just for the weekend, honestly, I'm not feeling confident whatsoever because the amount of injuries that we have, the amount of first team players that are not available. And I just feel that the players that we do have available currently within our squad are not up to the standard that I feel that we should have.
Do you think that, a fit and firing Aubameyang, Odegaard in the team, a sharp Saka, maybe a Gabriel, those type of players will make a difference? Because, when we played against Chelsea, we have to say that was a very depleted squad, really depleted of our best quality players. Do you not think that maybe having those players in our team after a win like this might give us some confidence and maybe make it a little bit closer of a contest? I still know it's Man City, but does it give you any more confidence or not really?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, when you win, obviously that breeds confidence, 100%. But Saka didn't really get a pre-season due to his international duties. And yeah, for me, look, we can obviously go and do the business at Man City, but again, it's our recent head-to-heads. The results from the back of that doesn't really give me confidence, But look, my heart would always want my team to win, but unfortunately, I've got to think with my head over my heart. So I just don't feel confident whatsoever. But look, if we go out there and get a draw, I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't be happy, but I'd be okay with that. But yeah, look, we've still got, I think, 6 days, less than a week to go for our transfer business to be done. We've got an overly inflated squad. We need a lot of players that need to be, we need to get off our books. And for me personally, we definitely need a right back and a goal scoring midfielder, because so far we've only had one outgoing sale, that was in Joe Willock, and he was our only creative or goal scoring midfielder, and that was one of our major problems last season, from our midfield contributing into goals.
Can I just say he did that for Newcastle, not for us? There's a big difference in systems, and I don't think he could replicate that for us.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the end of the day, you send out a player to go out and get game time under your belt, which he did, and when he did come on, he, as an attacking player that he is, whether you deploy him as an 8 or a 10, he contributed goals. And for me, for an attacking player, if you score goals, add goals into your game whilst you're out on loan, that means you've ticked all the boxes. And he should have definitely have given a chance into this new season. Unfortunately, Arteta didn't see it that way.
He's been given a chance, though. He had the most appearances for Arsenal, really. I think in the season prior. And I know that some of those weren't in his preferred position. I know George is like a big advocate of making sure he's in his preferred position, but it's not like he came out of the academy and was shipped straight off. This is somebody that we've known for a couple of years. So I kind of get what you're saying, but I feel without Joe Willock, you may not be getting Odegaard. And for me, Odegaard fits in better, even though he doesn't add goals. He's more beneficial to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang is our gunman. With Willock aside, Aubameyang doesn't get those goals, I don't think, because you just don't have that person doing the pre-assist. But I completely get what you're saying. But yeah, we'll see what happens against Man City. I just want to ask you before I let you go, Aslan, are you starting Aubameyang, Lacazette, or both of them against Man City?
Definitely not both. I don't feel starting them both in a lineup works, because if we did, then we would be seeing Oba as a wide forward or a left winger, however you want to phrase it. And for me, he's wasted on that left-hand side. You know, the guy's 32 now. I just want to see him in and around that 18-yard box. And now where you highlighted that we've brought in Odegaard, if we play Odegaard in that hole, he has the vision to find Oba, because that's what one of his qualities are. You know, so for him to pass the ball over the top or thread a ball in through the eye of the needle, that's what he possesses in his game. That's one of his strengths. So for me, I would go for Oba leading the line with the attacking front three behind him in Odegaard in the hole and Pepe and Saka on either of the wings, whichever side the manager decides to do. I'm fine with, or maybe just give them the freedom to roam or at certain phases of the play throughout the game. You know, let them switch sides. So it's entirely up to the manager on that.
Perfect. Aslan, thank you so much for coming on and having your say. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
No problem. Thank you. Big up, everyone.
Bye. All right. And to finish up, we're going to bring in Banky, our resident positive. I mean, he's always super positive, so we'll let him take us out to the end of the show. Banky, how are you? You're muted.
Okay. I'm great. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What's popping, guys? George. I can't remember the other person's name, but yeah, I've just popped in.
We're not important, don't worry.
I've just popped in.
We'll just make up the numbers.
Sorry, I've just popped in last minute as usual because I was playing football myself, so I was only able to watch the halftime before the first half before I went to play football myself. But I came back to a surprising 6-0 win, which is amazing, which is good. And the little bit of the conversation I've heard from you guys, it's great. I like, you know, we have cause to celebrate tonight, to be happy, to be positive, but also to be realistic. And I think that's the tone I've been hearing everybody's, you know, submissions in the last sort of 15 minutes that I've joined the live stream. So it's all well and good. I saw the poll as well that you put out there, and a lot of people gave the Mr. Positive. you have to try and be right. So yeah, so I saw the poll that you put out there, and a lot of people gave the man of the match to Aubameyang. I mean, I know that he's got the hat trick, but for me, the man of the match tonight was Saka, based on the first half that I saw, and based on the highlights of the other goals. Because I saw the first 3 goals, and then I rushed out to go play football. So I'm giving it to Saka because I feel like he was the only person that was trying to drive the team forward. Odegaard as well did a few pre-assists from what I saw. I may be wrong. So, you know, all round we have to be happy, but also we have to be measured in our analysis of the game tonight and our team going forward. You know, on the back of what the last person was saying in regards to the upcoming match, which is in 3 days against Man City, am I confident about it? If we get a draw, I'll be happy about it. Do I think at the minute that, you know, we've done enough? Or do I have that full confidence to say, okay, this team is going to keep on from now? Because we've seen performances like this, maybe not of this equal magnitude in terms of 6 goals, you know, margin or whatnot. But also, I'm sure we're very aware of the team we played against tonight. So I want us to kick on. I want my team to keep doing this, to play better, to gain some confidence from this performance. But let's not forget that for the past sort of 2 months, that we've been having this conversation about the kind of players we need. It still comes down to something. It comes down to that I need that spark. I need that player in that midfield. I still want to see someone like Hussein Moha. I want to see him. I want to see a signing before in the next 5 days, in the magnitude of somebody like United have for in Bruno Fernandes, because I feel like we're still very, as much as that midfield looks like a bit better than he's been in the last few weeks or whatnot, I still feel like we're lacking a spark in that midfield. The first time that I saw Xhaka still quite sloppy on the ball. And unfortunately, I can't believe I'm going to be watching Xhaka for the next 4 years. There was a few times that he got caught on the ball by the West Brom players. You know, let's be realistic with ourselves. that going by that first half performance, it could have been the other way around before we started getting our goals in. If you're watching the same game I was watching. So I hope the club listens to us. I hope they do something in the next couple of days. I don't want to, because, I understand that every other person wants to speak, and I've not really been into the conversations before. So I'm trying to bring in some positivity, but at the same time, realism. So hopefully, we kick on from here. I hope we get a good result against City, whether that be a draw, maybe like a sneaky, cheeky, win. I hope Aubameyang keeps firing. I hope we can all just smile again, at least just have a breather for at least a few good weeks, So
I know, right? Just a smile.
Yeah. So a few breather and we can just talk about the football and not being. Arsenal has turned everybody's football analyst. We are now business-minded people. I see George talking about how much the owner this, the owner that, he did this and that. We've become analysts, and we're about the only club that's actually found ourselves in this situation. Club fans, I mean. But yeah, all things well. Let's celebrate tonight. Let's enjoy. But at the same time, let's keep that subliminal pressure on the club. And let's not allow them rest on their laurels. They still need to sign at least a great player, somebody that at least when he gets the ball, he can get all of excited and is willing to drive and commit. So hopefully that's my own wish, and I hope it happens. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there, and I hope to catch you guys again soon.
Well said, Banky. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, mate.
All right, you guys. Souls. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for our instant reaction. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We actually did the entire thing like the right way that we were supposed to do it. I'm happy. I'm proud of us. I think it's going to only happen when we win. When we lose, we're going to just go off the rails, but it's fine. There's still about 280 of you guys watching on all platforms. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, share. Consider becoming a member of the channel. The link is in the description box. It's $5 or less per month to be a member, and depending on your tiers, you'll get live streams just for members. You'll get opportunities to come on the show, all these great and wonderful things that are a part of the memberships. And our first member stream that's not a Tactical Tuesday is this Friday with FK from Latte Firm, live Q&A for just members. So make sure that you guys tune in for that and become a member for that. Tomorrow, post-match show for this game. We'll probably be talking a little bit of transfers, this game, the Man City game, a little bit of a preview, a little bit of everything. So make sure you tune in then at 10 p.m. UK time, and we'll see you guys then. Bye, guys. Why don't I have the outro?